Welcome to Love and Life by Amanda podcast. This show brings together the perspectives of anthropology and psychology to offer a deeper understanding of human behavior, identity, and connection. Each week, you'll hear thoughtful guidance from a doctor of cultural anthropology and a doctor of social psychology, designed to help you cultivate love, strengthen your relationships, and build a more fulfilling life. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Love and Life by Amanda. Today we are talking about understanding emotional immaturity. Sound like a fun topic?
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
In one way or the other, it affects us all. So
Yeah,
definitely good to think about it, focus on it.
definitely. So we're going to try to understand emotional immaturity from a psychological and a little bit of cultural standpoint today. And let's first define emotional immaturity. So I wrote down a huge list that I have here that I thought would be good. Let's see. So let's name them off. Lack of emotional regulation. So learning how to regulate your emotions. People with emotional immaturity are usually very highs and lows and all over the place sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Quickly change their moods, how they interact with others, and it throws people off, right? Off guard
Yeah.
because it's unexpected behavior,
Yeah.
usually unhealthy behavior.
It can be exhausting for
Yeah,
people who deal with people who are emotionally immature.
yeah.
It can be exhausting. Lack of empathy for others. I mean, not all the time, but for some people, it definitely is,
Mm.
for sure. Manipulation, like gaslighting, lying, stonewalling. For those who don't know what gaslighting is, I always tell my clients, because a lot of people always ask, what is gaslighting? And I always tell my clients, it's usually like, I say, well, that's not how you feel. I'll tell you how you feel. So it's
If you're gaslighting somebody, you're not recognizing their emotions or what they're saying, and you're saying it's something totally different and making them feel uncertain and that you're right and they're wrong in that moment. But you're not acknowledging what they're bringing forward at all.
exactly
You're
not at
undermining
all.
it. Undermining
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yes. Let's see. Well, and stonewalling. Stonewalling is a set. I tell people there's two types of stonewalling. Stonewalling is usually when the person just ignores you and they just kind of go into their shell, and it usually stems from two places. One, if they're stonewalling because they don't know what to say and they don't want to make the situation worse, and so they just don't say anything. And that's what you used to do a lot at the beginning of our marriage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that later. But then there's two. There's the person that just stonewalls just to be mean, right? So
Hmm.
they don't want to. Oh, I'm not going to talk to you, type of person. So, um, let's see, anger. Oh, talking about different types of communication style. People who are aggressive in their behaviors towards others. That's type of
And
emotional.
become physically menacing toward others.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So aggressive. Oh, what about passive aggressiveness?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Passive aggressiveness is like probably the worst communication style out of all four. There's four different types. It's the
It
worst,
makes everybody uncomfortable except for the person doing it, apparently.
apparently. Let's see. Lack of accountability or trying to put the blame on others. Dismissiveness. And this one's a big one because this one I've definitely had to learn over the years. Patience.
Hmm. So if you're emotionally mature, you're saying impatience is the marker.
Did I not say lack of patience?
Oh,
Lack of patience.
okay.
You're right. Lack of patience. Yes. Which you have ample amounts of. And I've had to learn to develop patience over the years. So these are the markers of emotional immaturity. So with emotional immaturity, let's talk about how people in relationships, because for my dissertation, I researched all about this topic, really.
Yeah, in the context of people divorcing, the
Yes.
ending of those relationships, but what led to that in terms of communication and how they treated each other. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So it was the study of how hubristic pride affected the communication within the relationship.
And
And
hence the relationship breakdown.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the yeah, leading to the relationship breakdown. And so hubristic pride, of course, is the bad forms of pride. There's arrogance and conceitedness and pompousness and snobbishness and smugness. It's egotism. Those are the bad forms of pride. And what I found was that hubristic pride was a catalyst for people putting up defense mechanisms. Now, people who are emotionally mature will put up these defense mechanisms. So the defense mechanisms are getting angry, uh,
Deflecting, passive
deflecting,
aggressiveness.
denying, all those things that we kind of talked about.
Right.
Those are like the defense mechanisms.
Yes.
The catalyst for those defense mechanisms was hubristic pride. You know what came before hubristic pride? That sense of having to be vulnerable. And because they don't want to be vulnerable,
What,
because it's scary,
a fear of being vulnerable.
maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
Or uncertainty as to how to truly be vulnerable. But again, I think
Mm-hmm.
most people don't think of it as being, hey, I'm going to be vulnerable. They just don't want to put themselves out there, don't want, are afraid of true connection, uh, sharing something about themselves. They're not certain how others might react to it. And they're probably not sure how they might react in that moment either.
Mm-hmm.
Again, connecting to emotional immaturity. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. So, because they didn't want to be vulnerable, then hubristic pride would come into play. And then that would give them kind of the justification to act the way they
Mm.
wanted in very less effective negative ways. Anyway, it became very, very difficult, the relationships, and eventually they led to divorce. And it was all because of emotional immaturity.
Mm.
Every single relationship,
Yeah.
emotional immaturity.
Every single relationship that broke down and
Yes.
ended in divorce started with emotional immaturity, often manifested in hubristic pride, and then communication breakdown. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, he's good at putting it all together for me. Um, and so, just kind of talking a little bit about personality types. Now, I know this personality type has been talked over and over again, which is narcissism. It's something that people just,
Well, I mean,
it's
you see it, and it's almost blatant and in your face, and it's easy to talk about and
definitely,
see it by its destructiveness
yeah,
or its flashiness, I guess.
I guess so. And you can see narcissism in all sorts of things in community, like politics or
Even
TV shows, like
yeah,
the reality TV
in the
shows in the
workplace.
workplace.
Yeah.
So narcissism, obviously, all those things that we talked about when it comes to emotional immaturity, that's a narcissism to the T.
Mm-hmm.
In my study, what I found was that narcissism, there was psychopathy, and there was Machiavellianness. See, so there's a little bit difference, and it kind of escalates a
Mm.
little bit. So narcissism, of course, is all those things. The thing with psychopathy is it's like a step up from narcissism, to where they also have all those marked traits
Mm-hmm.
of emotional immaturity, but they're also very impulsive. Like, at least with narcissists, they at least try to be normal. They try to fit in with society and this and that. Like psychopaths, they're more impulsive. And then a step up from psychopathy is Machiavellianness. These are the guys and gals that usually are involved in politics and things like that. So they're not impulsive. They're strategic. They're very cunning and very strategic in planning and trying to do things in a certain way to get what they want and what
Yeah, to
they,
orchestrate things to their own ends.
yeah,
And so they have deep, long plans to get there, to
exactly.
manipulate people along the way to achieve their goals or ends.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So there's these three types, and I just want to share that because I just think it's really interesting just to know that there's a difference. It's a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and below that spectrum is also borderline personality disorder, which more women have than men.
Mm.
Men are more narcissistic. Women are more borderline in the sense of those who do have personality disorders. Um, Borderlines also have a huge fear of abandonment. They show a lot of empathy. So they're a little bit different in that way, uh, but their emotion regulation is non existent
Mm.
for borderlines,
Wow.
usually. And usually, a lot of these people who are personality disorders have been abused in some way when they were younger,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, one other one that never gets talked about. This one's really exciting.
Hmm.
You ready?
Exciting. Okay.
Yeah, because it's nobody ever talks about it.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
like taking the lid off it and talking about it and helping people understand it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Echoism.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Echoism. I I I always thought, what is the opposite of a narcissist? And I looked it up. It's echoism. So narcissists have all these. They're more manipulative and they're aggressive or passive aggressive. Echoists aren't like that, but they're still very, very immature, emotionally immature
Hmm.
in their own way
Yeah.
because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. So like borderlines and narcissists might be more,
Turbulent and emotive.
yes,
Okay.
and then echoists are more passive and quiet,
Withdrawn and
withdrawn. Yeah,
yeah.
they're the ones that would stonewall because they don't know what to say and they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings and they don't want to
Yeah.
bother anyone. So in their own way, they're emotionally mature, but they're more muted
Yeah.
than
It's
the
not
other
like they're
ones.
trying to actively hurt others or manipulate them. They're just not sure how to proceed, how to emote. They don't have that emotional intelligence yet that they
Yes.
need. So hence they kind of put up a wall, a barrier, and stay behind
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it is interesting. People with egoism are also they don't want to get in anybody's way. They want to make sure everyone has what they need
A bit of a people pleaser then.
in a way.
Oh, okay.
They're just people pleasing because they don't think that they're good enough to have their needs met.
Mm. So
They,
they're putting other people's needs before their own
yes,
because they don't feel that their needs are as important as others.
yes,
Okay. Very
yes.
good to know.
Yeah, thanks for putting it in good ways.
Oh, no worries.
So those are just a few. I
Okay.
mean, there's other different personality disorders
But
that are
those are
out
some of
there.
the ones that are most prevalent out there. Okay.
Yes, yes. So something to keep in mind. So moving forward, communication really is the key to connection. Was one of the keys to connection,
Mm-hmm.
and people who are emotionally immature usually are passive. Well, echoists are passive when they communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Borderlines are passive aggressive and aggressive, and same with narcissists. They're uh, aggressive and passive aggressive. So,
Mm.
um, anyway, that's just something to keep in mind because the actual communication style that we want to have is to be more assertive in our communication. I'm going to get my needs met, but I'm also going to meet your needs too.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. It's a win-win. We're going to work at this together. And that's really hard to do, especially if you grew up with survival patterns of just always having to people please, or maybe your needs were never met and now you're super over aggressive and you're like, no, I got to get my needs met.
Mm.
It's hard because those were survival patterns as a kid and now it's hard to come out of them.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Hard to change out of them.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's come to you and the anthropological lens of
Mm.
it all. So tell us about tell us about enculturation and how the cultural lens can play a role in emotional immaturity,
Mm.
or maturity, whatever, however
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
view
Where
it.
you are on that scale or that range, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you mentioned enculturation. Uh, If you've taken sociology, it's known by a different word there. I think that's the word that might be used in psychology, but let me know. So a lot of people know it as socialization. In anthropology, we call it enculturation, ENCULT, so on and so forth. So for us, it's really the process by which we are essentially programmed. We learn language, we learn how to act around and with others. We learn social expectations of how to act in one moment versus another versus another. It's also all the knowledge that we use to survive in terms of our social world, as I've been describing, but also the physical environment as well. So for us, enculturation is the process by which culture is brought into us as knowledge and also learned behavior. And culture itself, and one of the most simple definitions that I like, is the shared learned knowledge we use to survive in our environment. And that environment in anthropology is both, again, the social and the physical world. So everything we need to survive around others, other humans, and in the world around us. So enculturation is a process by which culture is brought into us. And it can really start quite early on. We have 5 kids. Sorry, 6. Why did I get that wrong? So we have 6 kids. And really, if you think about it, babies in the womb can hear the mom and the dad talking, all right, if I'm close. That's really the beginning of enculturation. They start to hear words, patterns. That's why they say it's also great to play classical music, right? It's starting to help them learn some of these things that are out here as a part of our world, and that starts their brain development. So they're learning right there and then, even as early as the womb. But the process continues throughout their whole life. But there's a lot of enculturation that goes on, obviously, after we're born, those early years, the years we're going to, say, elementary school, middle school, high school, so on and so forth. It never ends technically, but a lot of it happens in the early stages of our lives. So how does this relate then? How does enculturation relate to emotional maturity, whether we have high or low emotional maturity? Well, first off, I think we both have to acknowledge that emotional maturity um, might be higher for someone who's had a longer, fuller life. So that could be one thing right there, if we've lived a long life. But that isn't necessarily what brings it about. It's the experiences that we've had and what we've learned through enculturation. So, say we grow up in a society where we have lots of opportunities to talk and connect with others of our same age group. Also, then people of other age groups, our parents and grandparents, where we learn and they model and show us good ways of acting and responding to others. If we see lots of people around us responding in anger, being impulsive, not being accountable, being manipulative, uh, modeling for us passive aggressive behavior and speech, that's going to be enculturated into us. That's what we're going to learn.
Yeah. Can I pause for a sec?
Sure.
Just because I have this in my book that I wrote, Send It Love, A Pathway to Healing Your Emotions and Loving Your Life. In my book, I talk about that, and I kind of start with the Puritans when they came over, and the Puritans integrated this spare the rod, spoil a child. You better, beat people into submission, make, if
and publicly shame them.
And public, like the Scarlet Letter.
Yes,
the book where the gal was publicly shamed. Yes.
Yeah, it's embodied there. Their approach of how to get people to behave a certain way. So coercion, shame, physical, corporal punishment, as we would call it. So yeah, all ways that psychologists and even anthropologists would say are not good ways to promote cultural conformity, healthy interactions, and good emotional maturity.
Yeah. And so that was passed down from generation to generation, and not just on our culture, it's in other cultures as well. There is, but it was been passed down. And even like my parents, like I got the belt when I was a kid. I got yelled at when I was a kid by my dad. He's still a good dad, but
that's how he was probably disciplined.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Whereas,
again, enculturation.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like same for you from your mom, right? So, yeah, I just
Hmm.
wanted to
Yeah.
put that out there.
Yeah. So that's again showing us how, the past can imprison the present, or I like to put it more neutrally, frame the present. So in 1970, Weston the Bar wrote a book called The Ghost Dance, and he talks about this concept that, hey, culture is passed on. It's always changing, but a core portion of it is always passed on from one generation to another. So yes, what is programmed into us is what we're going to be used to, and that's either going to help us build emotional maturity or it's going to make it tough for us. However, no matter what, I think we can both agree, um, actually build emotional maturity and replace some of those bad habits and those bad ways of interacting with others, whether it is our children and how we discipline them, or how we show up for others at the workplace, friends and family as well, or others in our community. Certainly, we can improve. And I don't know, we can talk about it now or later in our podcast, but as you know, a counselor, you've done that for over 10 years, helping people if they do their homework, right, in those sessions
Yes.
to build emotional maturity. And certainly from an anthropological standpoint, we have to think about what we're choosing to enculturate us. So say I grow up and my parents don't spend a whole lot of time with me, don't interact. I don't have a lot of friends or family that I interact with, and rather I just have a TV that babysits me every afternoon. And nobody teaches me how to, do responsibility, do my homework. And if I'm just watching, say, a bunch of sitcoms that, again, for laughs or for the intrigue or for the sensationalism effect, show bad ways, show families interacting, treating each other in mean ways,
Yeah.
in emotionally immature ways, that's what I'm going to learn. That's being programmed into me.
Hmm.
However, if I have people that care about my upbringing and choose to model better ways, expose me to other sorts of programming, shows, or other things that show people in acting in emotionally mature ways,
Hmm.
and give me chances to do that, that's a great way to start building better emotional maturity.
That's
Absolutely.
that's true. I mean, when I was a kid, what were the shows I watched as a kid? I was watched Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood,
Yeah, yeah, great show.
uh, Reading Rainbow. Loved Reading Rainbow. I would watch those as a kid, and now looking back, I think, wow, they really try to instill good, like good things. Like Mr. Rogers was all about being caring and understanding,
And being
and
calm and kind.
yes, and
Yes.
nowadays they don't have that
Yeah, a lot of
those
kids, yeah,
things.
that show isn't on like putting new episodes, maybe reruns here and there, but yeah, a lot of kids
Not
don't
as
have that.
much.
And do they have parents and friends that are also modeling that for them? That's the even bigger question.
And that's hard. And that's really hard because I know at least for our older children, they got a mom who was a lot more angry and frustrated. And and now the younger kids get a lot of really nicer mom. And they're gonna grow up and they're gonna raise their children probably how they were raised or complete opposite of how they were raised. They're gonna mess up their own kids too because that's what we do. We mess up our kids. But that's growth and emotional maturity for you, I guess.
Yeah, it's part of life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But again, that's what the opportunity is there. Right? Always good to see the opportunity that if you can go and learn about enculturation, learn about anthropology, learn about psychology, see a counselor, right? Get some emotional maturity yourself and learn more tools. One of the best tools I love that we came upon somewhere in the first half of our marriage was a book called Parenting with Love.
Yeah, that was a really good book.
And it taught us how to work with our children and discipline them in healthy ways that also led them to have a chance to develop better emotional maturity. And it helped us do the same too and build a better relationship with those kids through, again, disciplining and parenting with love. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely vouch for that
Yeah,
concept.
that's true. So when we were first married, I was really young. I was 18. You were 22,
22,
well,
and then
23
23.
pretty much. A couple days later, you turned 23. And so we were quite young when we got married. And I'll tell you, I was very emotionally mature. I was a lot more like my dad in the many ways because I was very impatient and I would manipulate because I would yell and get angry and get mad at you and get so frustrated with you and try to control you and things like that. So I was doing a lot of those negative facets of
Yeah.
emotional immaturity. But you, on the other hand, you were the one receiving
Yeah, I didn't know how
everything.
to handle that. I hadn't been enculturated as to how to handle someone that was so
Liar,
emotive.
liar. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
No, no. His mother, your mom, was like that.
gotcha.
And so you knew, so you developed a survival strategy.
Right.
I'm just going to pull in because
I'm going to go another
if
direction.
I go another direction, I won't get as hurt as badly, emotionally or physically.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying your mom was like super abusive, but
Yeah.
she beat you guys here and there, um, with a paddle or something. I don't know, but that was your survival mechanism, was to
Yeah. I mean,
pull
I
in.
probably noticed that's how my dad was surviving. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was pulling in or pulling away. Yeah.
yeah. So and he hit like his mother was borderline personality disorder. I could say that now, she's passed away, but so trying to understand her and how she viewed the world and life, it was turbulent, and it was
Yeah.
turbulent for you kids. And she had a lot of great qualities too. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. But again, I mean, that goes to, it's nice that we have come to understand that, you know, she also was abused in several ways, and that's what helped form her borderline personality disorder. She wasn't, again, enculturated with healthy ways of interacting with others and emotional maturity.
yeah,
So that's something that she worked on her whole life to change. So
yeah.
yeah,
It was hard. It was hard because your dad didn't understand how to deal with it, and
right.
so he didn't really change, and it made it hard for her to change if he's not working on changing and things like that. And so,
Hmm.
um, anyway, great people. They just, like everyone, we all have our issues,
We have our
our
challenges, yeah, based
challenges.
on enculturation and life. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So, um, uh, we kind of touched base on it a little bit, but TV shows, things. It's it's interesting when you look at reality TV shows,
Hmm.
sitcoms. Even in politics, how there's so many people that are emotionally immature.
Yeah. And our society sometimes, plays that for laughs, obviously for entertainment. Um,
Yeah, maybe because,
it,
well, we can relate because we're all emotionally mature in some way. I don't know.
yeah. So again, that's showing us ways of how we shouldn't act, but unfortunately, we're not seeing the ways of how we should as anywhere near as much.
Yeah,
So how are we supposed to learn? So again, we got to be more purposeful and deliberate about it, I believe.
yeah,
Again, see a counselor. We all need to see counselors to talk through things and to learn tools. A lot of workplaces have sometimes access to classes. I know my workplace does, and I helped create one of those, leveraging emotions for de-escalation.
hmm,
So find online a mood meter, right? And you can talk more about this, but um, certainly one of the ways that you've taught me to process our emotions and to get more emotionally mature is we need to first name the emotion. Is that right?
yes,
We need to figure out what
yes.
emotion we're feeling. And then, of course, once we recognize it, we can acknowledge it and then we can process it and then it can go away. So we talk about this in that class that I teach. And, part of the research we did on that, we found amazingly that most of the average American can only name 4 emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
Europeans around 10 to
I
12.
thought it was like three,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah,
What, sad, mad, and glad, or something like
yeah,
that?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, a mood meter, if you go and see it, it has a lot more emotions. I mean, there's a good 60, 70 emotions out there. There's nuance
Yeah, if
between
not
them,
more.
and
There's
there's
like four
far
or five.
more. So it's good to see a mood meter and figure out. And then, of course, some of them have some indices, right? Quadrants that help you know kind of what's in the input there, a core input, like whether
Mm,
am I high energy or low energy, am I tired or rested, so on and so forth.
yes.
So yeah, those things
I
can
can put
really
the mood
help.
meter in
Yeah,
the
definitely.
comments below.
Yeah, put it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so a lot of that really comes from emotional intelligence as
Yes.
well. And I would say that emotional intelligence and emotional maturity go hand in hand.
Mm,
Like the more you gain in emotional intelligence, the more emotionally mature you will be,
mm. Yeah,
right?
two sides of the same coin, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And
I
then
agree.
vice versa. But if you grow in emotional intelligence, you usually aren't going to regress. You could, I guess, but usually not. And so
Okay.
then you'll become more emotionally mature. But
Yeah.
I think by understanding your emotions and naming them and knowing that you have more than just sad, mad, or glad, that is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Learning
Yeah.
the beginnings, at least.
Yeah. Ability to really identify truly what you're feeling in that moment, connect it to the why of it, process it, give yourself, like you say, some self compassion for what you're feeling, and go on from there in terms of processing it.
Yeah,
Mm.
which is what we want to talk about
Yeah.
next. How do we overcome this emotional immaturity? How do we grow in emotional intelligence and emotional maturity so that
Mm.
we can improve our lives?
Yeah. Well, we did touch on it a little bit in our previous podcast. We talked a lot about connection, building real connection with others. From an anthropological standpoint or lens, our society again makes it a little bit tough
Yeah.
to do this, right? To
Hmm.
get ourselves into positions where we can build emotional maturity or intelligence. But there are ways to do it. We are in what we would call a Western society predominantly, right? It comes from Europe, right? Western thought, which ties back again to Greece and their culture. Everything else outside of that we call non-Western culture.
Hmm.
Um, but in anthropology, we're aware of a lot of various cultures, a lot of them, for example, in Eastern Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, like the Nuer of South Africa, the Maasai of Kenya and Tanzania. But they have age set groups that operate throughout an individual's entire life. We kind of have age set groups, but let me tell you first off what they are. So, again, you could say, hey, I'm a young man. I'm going through a ritual, a rite of passage, and I'm doing that with all these other boys that are my age, becoming men. So all the aspects of whatever ritual are involved, I'm doing it with others, going through that anxiety, the anticipation of taking on new responsibilities, being taught them. But then, of course, we all typically then are still around there to support and help each other through that, and then through the next rite of passage, which maybe could be marriage and a number of years thereafter.
Mm.
Then, of course, other aspects of our life, when we become parents, they all are able to connect. They're all about the same age, and they're all usually of the same gender, these age set groups. So I'm there with those guys that I've spent my youth going through various experiences together with. Then, of course, young married life, having children,
Yeah.
other aspects of life and stages. They're always getting together. You could go to Southeast Asia and look at traditional cultures. Again, a lot of them are losing some of these features of their culture because
Mm.
of globalization. But anthropology has shown us in the past, and even up into the 1970s and 80s, a lot of them still had men's houses and women's houses. And so they were, almost like an equivalent of clubhouses, but the men houses, obviously only the men could go. The men and the boys would go, and they
Mm,
would learn,
yeah.
connect, share, teach each other, and spend time together. And again, throughout one's life, you always have those people to lean on and to help you and
Yeah.
process beyond just your family. And women had that same in the women's houses and more. Again, through their rituals, again, especially with the Maasai and the Nuer. So we don't have those as much as a feature in our society.
Yeah. Wait, I
Um,
have my women's bunko group.
Yes, that is very
Does that
cool.
count?
So once a month, it's less formal, but it works.
Oh, it
You all get
does.
together. You're all people, women of a certain age and life stage, and you share and talk while you have some fun and eat a little bit of good snacks and food. And you
Mm-hmm.
do that once a
So
month,
good. Yeah.
um, and that's very therapeutic and helpful for you. You all get to share what's going on and talk and connect and be good
Yeah.
listeners for one another.
Yeah.
So that right there still builds emotional maturity. But the core of it is having a group of people or even a trusted friend or accountability buddy or two that you can continually go to through life's challenges and share with. So
Mm-hmm.
schools, right, most schools are integrated. It makes it tough to have a true age set group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes scouts or other clubs or functional groups can help,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
again, we see those even changing now, such that you lose those age set gender groups where you can have some of that emotion vulnerability and psychological safety there.
Yeah.
So we
It's
have to
just,
purposefully go and try to find and
that's what I was
create
gonna say.
those.
It's just a matter of going out there and looking for a
Hmm.
group
Yeah,
and being a part of it,
yeah.
putting yourself out there, being
You could find
vulnerable.
it in church groups, hobby groups,
Volunteer
yeah,
groups,
again,
bird
bunko groups.
watching, photography groups, hiking groups. They
Yeah,
have all sorts
yeah.
of
And
groups.
of course the key there is to have some vulnerability, some emotional vulnerability. Put down the armor and truly create a space with others of psychological safety so you can all share your concerns and what's going on in life and how you're feeling about things.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's something that can be done that can help. Absolutely.
it's nice. Let's just talk about emotional maturity for a sec.
Hmm.
So I kind of made a list: being empathetic, understanding, being patient, uh, being assertive,
Hmm.
learning how to set boundaries in a positive way, being accountable and responsible for your actions,
Hmm.
forgiving, um, can have emotional regulation, know
Hmm.
how to regulate your emotions, being vulnerable, and being mindful.
Hmm.
Anything else?
Well,
It's a
that's a
pretty good.
pretty good set right
It's a
there.
good list.
Yeah.
It's a good list. And so, with that said, anything else? I mean, those are really what it comes down to. It's practice, learning to be more vulnerable, because when you're more vulnerable and you lean into that, like Brene Brown says, you lean into that discomfort,
Hmm.
you're going to more likely be able to experience life more fully.
Hmm.
And this is what I want to talk about. When you become more emotionally mature, you lean into the discomfort, you're doing the things, you're learning how to be more patient and understanding and loving and all those good things,
Yeah.
then you're going to have this transformation. And the transformation is what? What do you think? I don't know. Well, I know I have an idea, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you're talking about just the transformation into being an emotionally mature individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And are you thinking of, hey, we should dive into like what are the benefits to your life if you have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would suspect there's a lot of them. Absolutely. I mean, again, if you've purposely found ways to connect and regularly connect with others and be, vulnerable, having been a part of creating psychological safety there with others, then imagine then the quality of your relationships if you're
Yeah.
not manipulating, but rather again you're honest or kind, assertive, setting borders that protect you and protect others.
Hmm.
Again, per your list, what are some other things you think that would
Um,
come?
I was thinking, yeah, definitely connection, because that's huge, because that's Brene Brown says that's why we're here. We're
Deep,
wired for
rich
connection,
connection. Yeah.
deep, rich connection. Um, from my own experience, becoming more emotionally mature, it's been hard and it's taken years.
Hmm.
But the more you practice, obviously, the easier it gets. And I'm still working at it. But
We
also,
all should.
for
Yeah.
me, I
So
really like who I am. Like, I love myself more.
yeah, you find yourself living in your skin um, a lot more nicely easily. Probably more happiness and joy,
Yeah,
and less anxiety, more assurity.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know. You feel safer in yourself.
Hmm.
You're more comfortable, and you know, and you have these better connections. You're able to just love your life so much more
Mm.
because you're more mature
Yeah.
and you're not as worried as much. You're not as anxious or depressed as much.
Hmm.
Um, so those are some things
Yeah. You
that
can
are all,
probably obviously handle life's challenges better, as you
yeah,
connect and show up for people in more healthy ways because you are more emotionally
yeah.
mature.
Maybe finding more solutions to your problems, being
Yeah.
able to see the solutions because you're probably in a more positive mind frame.
Yeah.
You're not in that negativity mind frame. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can handle life. I can do what needs to be done.
Yeah. So that means you're also going to be avoiding abusing things that numb you, whether it's alcohol, drugs,
Mm,
or even
mm,
entertainment and other things that
that's huge.
close you off, right? You're going to be living a life that's more real and full, active, again, connecting more with others. But yeah, you're going to be more available to be a part of life.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is huge. We tend to numb because we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel vulnerable. And so we numb ourselves so that we don't have to feel. And then you're losing the awesomeness connection that you can get.
Yeah. So I guess on the other hand, we're saying, hey, if you are emotionally mature, then you know how to act and deal with these emotions or life's tough, experiences, etc., challenges.
Hmm.
So then you're going to choose better ways forward through it, which means then usually less harm to you, less setbacks, less entanglements and trouble as you go through those. I mean, the trouble is already there, but you're not making it worse. So there's
Right.
a lot to be said for having that maturity. It's going to help your life in so many ways.
So many ways.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. It is worth the work
Yeah.
to put in. And so there's a lot of great books on emotional maturity. Um, I just recommend read, 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 and practice, practice, practice. That's what I recommend. So just learning the how to be more emotionally mature. I'll probably put some of the books in the comments as well
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
some of my favorites.
And from an
So
anthropological lens, again, seek out opportunities for a real connection with others around your own age group. Uh, Spend time doing real things with them. And again, connecting them in real ways, letting yourself truly feel, build again your knowledge set of feelings that are out there.
mm-hmm.
And again, pay attention to what you're putting in, right? Because you are what you eat, but it's that same way in terms of what you put in your mind,
Uh-huh.
right?
Oh yeah.
So
Garbage in, garbage out. Good stuff in, good stuff out.
yeah, so we got to think about again, what are we consuming in terms of books, entertainment, what we watch, etc. Find those
Mm-hmm.
things that are going to be more healthy in terms of people depicting people's interactions. Um, not looking for just mindless, trivial, I think, entertainment. A little less of it, right, and more of the good stuff. That's definitely going to help
Yeah,
because you got to
definitely.
offset. Yeah, I got to offset the bad enculturation or programming and get more of the good. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well,
Hmm.
thank you, Dr. Harms, for
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Harms.
thank you so much for the discussion today. I think it was a really good discussion. And next episode is going to be a surprise because we're not sure what we're going to do yet, but we will. We'll figure it out. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Take care.